We have a lot to celebrate. Now, there's been a lot of hard work, and there's more in front of us, but tonight, we celebrate. I'm going to limit my celebration list to 5 things. First, I want to celebrate all the City Bar staff who are responsible for this evening and Monday's CLE program and everything that we've done, and especially Gabby Brown and Claire Plunkett. Thank you very much. You know, you're lucky. I almost had a last-minute request to play Kool and the Gang Celebration, but I'm not going to do that. Okay. Second of all, I want to celebrate 2 people in particular, Nate St. Victor and Sheila Boston, who co-chair our Enhanced Diversity in the Profession Committee. Now, under their leadership, this is our parent committee for all the diversity work that we do, and the work of the diversity committees, and they are all moving this to new levels. We've made some great progress over the past few years, including Monday's program, but we're not done. Over the next few years, we'll introduce an improved benchmarking survey. We're going to have updates to our diversity best practices documents and our statement of diversity principles. Nate and Sheila, none of this would be possible without your support, your feedback, your guidance, and the hard work of all of our diversity and inclusion committees. You are both wonderful people, and I consider you dear friends, and thank you. So number 3 of 5. The third thing I want to celebrate is our own diversity gains over this year. Our committees and our leadership are the most diverse they have ever been. Of the 36 new chairs that were appointed this year, half are men and half are women. And 25% of these chairs are people of color. And the incoming executive committee of the association, this is our board, our most senior leadership. It's incredibly diverse. There are 22 members on this executive committee, 12 are male, 10 are female. But importantly, just over 40%, 9 of the 22, are from historically underrepresented groups. That's a great increase for us. And we're not done. We're going to continue to solicit and focus on diversity for City Bar membership, committee members, and diversity in our speakers. Fourth of all, I want to thank and I want to celebrate everyone, all of you, for supporting this event, and particularly the ones who are listed in the program who made this possible. And all of you for being here, thank you. I want to celebrate all of us. So number 5, last and definitely not least, I want to celebrate the recipients of our 10th annual Diversity and Inclusion Champion Awards. I want to thank the selection committee for their hard work. And now it's my pleasure to turn the program over to Benson Cohen, who chaired the selection committee and is a partner at Sidley Austin. Benson, come on up.
Thank you very much for that introduction. My name is Benson Cohen, and I am the chair of the Diversity and Inclusion Selection Committee. I will be very brief because I know you didn't come here to see me. I've been honored to serve on this committee for the last 4 years and the last 2 years as the chair. And as you can imagine, with the group of nominees that we get every year, it is a very difficult process to go through and choose the people that receive the award. So if you'll indulge me, I'd like to ask the other members of the committee who are here tonight to stand up and be recognized for all the work that they put into this. Oh. We are here tonight to honor 4 amazing individuals. I'd like to, in addition to echoing Brett's celebratory words, I'd like to personally thank them and congratulate them for the dedication to being role models and for the inspiration that they provide all of us in pushing forward every day. Now, let's get this show on the road. I'd like to start by asking Patrick Quinn, managing partner of Cadwalader, Wickersham and Taft, to introduce Kathy Harada-Chin, the first recipient of our Diversity and Inclusion Award.
Good evening, everyone. As Benson said, my name is Pat Quinn. I'm the managing partner at Cadwalader, and tonight it is my great pleasure to introduce my partner, Kathy And let me tell you three reasons why. First, Kathy's career demonstrates that she is a true trailblazer. She came to Cadwallader, stuffy old Cadwallader, in 1980, straight from Columbia Law School. And we were smart enough and lucky enough to make her a partner in our litigation group in 1990. Joining us tonight is my recently retired partner, Terry Gilheeney, who sponsored Kathy for partnership. Terry likes to say that that was the best decision we ever made, and who could argue with him? We thank you, Terry, for recognizing Kathy's talent and being a wonderful sponsor in her career. Back then, there were very few women, much less women of color, who were litigators at firms like ours, and even fewer who made partner. Second, Kathy has consistently given back to her community. Among other things, she has served as a commissioner on the New York City Planning Commission, and for the last 12 years, she has served on the New York City Commission to Combat Police Corruption. She currently serves on the Attorney Emeritus Advisory Council and the Commercial Division Advisory Council, appointed for both positions by Chief Judge Jonathan Lippman. She also serves on the board of directors of the Medicare Rights Center, which is a national nonprofit organization dedicated to helping senior citizens and the disabled access affordable health care. At Cadwallader, she has provided pro bono services to individuals in partnership with the Asian American Legal Defense and Education Fund and the Sanctuary for Families, as well as providing pro bono services to the victims of 9/11. Third, Kathy has done so much to promote diversity and inclusion both within our firm and in the legal profession. She's a member of our firm's Global Diversity Oversight Committee, which is a committee that I chair. She serves on our Women's Task Force, which has developed a market-leading sponsorship program for women at our firm, which we were so happy with the results. We recently expanded that to include other diverse attorneys. And Kathy has also been the team leader for our recent diversity initiative, in which we completely revamped our diversity programs at our firm. Kathy and her husband, Judge Denny Chin, who's also here with us tonight, in connection with the Asian American Bar Association of New York, have written and produced historic reenactments of important civil rights cases that have been presented across the country, raising issues that are not only of importance to Asian Americans, but to all of us. Cadwallader has been proud to host the New York City premiere of their 4 most recent reenactments. And last year, Judge Chin and Kathy worked with the City Bar to put on a performance of one of their reenactments entitled 22 Lewd Chinese Women, right here in the House of the Association. Kathy was nominated for the New York State Court of Appeals by the Commission for Judicial Nomination in 2012 and again in 2014. Happily for us at Cadwallader, the governor did not select her either of those times, although we're still nervous. But her nomination nonetheless was significant, as she has become the first Asian American ever to be nominated for the Court of Appeals. With her grace and elegance, her extraordinary lawyering and professionalism, and her commitment to making the world a better place, Kathy has been a wonderful role model, not only for young female attorneys, but really for all of us. For all that she has done, and for all she will continue to do, I am proud to introduce to you, as 2015 New York City Bar Association Diversity and Inclusion Champion, my partner, Kathy Hirata-Chin.
You get swag.
Thank you, Pat, for those kind words and for being here tonight. And thank you, Father Gilheeney, for giving me a chance and becoming my sponsor more than 30 years ago. Thank you to the Asian American Bar Association of New York for nominating me for this award. And thanks to my husband, Judge Denny Chin, a former president of Albany. Both Albany and Denny are very much responsible for my own evolving sense of the meaning and importance of diversity and inclusion, and much of the credit for my receiving this award must go to them. And finally, thank you, City Bar, not only for including me in this incredible group of honorees, but for making diversity and inclusion such a priority, and for developing this award and this evening of celebration. When I started in 1980 at Cadwallader, it was a very different place from what it is now. There were no women partners and no partners of color, male or female. Annual firm dinners and monthly partner meetings were still being held at institutions that did not admit women as members. Of course, it wasn't just Cadwallader. That was the way it was at virtually all the big firms. No one spoke of diversity and inclusion. I could not have imagined a member of the firm receiving an award such as this, introduced by the head of the firm. The fact that Pat is here tonight means a great deal to me personally and to the diversity and inclusion efforts at Cadwallader. While progress has been made, there is still a long way to go. We recognize that at Cadwallader, and we have taken concrete steps at the firm to ensure that we will continue to do better. We've created a global diversity oversight committee, a small committee of partners headed by Pat, responsible for all diversity and inclusion efforts at the firm. We've learned that to make real progress in terms of diversity and inclusion, the leadership of the firm has to be involved. We've developed a sponsorship program, which Pat mentioned, as a pilot that teamed high-performing young women with powerful partners. That program has now been expanded to diverse associates, male and female. We've also reconceived our affinity groups. Law firms started developing affinity groups in the 1990s. They tended to be largely social networks, and frankly, instead of bringing people together, in some respects, they were keeping them apart. We now have our affinity groups working together and interacting more with the involvement of partners on the diversity committee. We're thinking more about inclusion, working harder to weave our young attorneys into the fabric of the firm. With our affinity groups, we are developing ideas that will benefit the firm, the lawyers in these groups, and the community, including client development projects, legal education ideas, and pro bono projects. I don't know if the programs we have put in place at Cadwallader over the last year or so will bear fruit, but we are trying, and we will continue to try, because we know that one program, one project, one task force is not enough. We know that this must be a team effort that involves all of us, and it is an effort that we must work at every day. Pat mentioned the reenactments that Denny and I have done with Albany. These are reenactments of historical cases involving Asian Americans, and the cases raise issues that we believe are meaningful, not just for Asian Americans, but for all Americans. The one we are working on now is a Vietnamese fisherman versus the Ku Klux Klan. In the 1970s, after the fall of Saigon, thousands of Vietnamese fled their country. Many settled in the Gulf Coast and became shrimpers and fishermen. Some Americans were upset, and they called in the Ku Klux Klan to intimidate the Vietnamese fishermen. Those efforts at intimidation might have been successful, but for a lawyer, Morris Dees of the Southern Poverty Law Center. Dees won an injunction for them in federal court in Houston, Texas in 1981, after a hearing held before Judge Gabriel K. McDonald, an African-American woman. After their victory, the fishermen invited Dees to attend the blessing of the fleet, and as the boats headed out, protected by U.S. Marshals, he could see how proud these immigrants were, and he, in turn, felt pride in this country and its justice system. In a speech he gave many years later, he described how he felt back then, and I quote, "I not only felt proud to be a lawyer for these people, I felt proud to be an American. For the first time, I understood that our nation is great because of our diversity and not in spite of it." That's what diversity and inclusion is all about, and we as lawyers are uniquely qualified and have a unique responsibility to make it happen in our law firms, in our courthouses, in our cities, and in our country. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. That was lovely. Thank you. I would like to keep the evening going by inviting Fred Rooney, the director of the International Justice Center for Postgraduate Development at Touro Law Center, to introduce the Honorable Fern Fisher to receive our next award.
Good evening. It's a tremendous honor for me to be here to introduce a very good friend and colleague, Judge Fern Allison Fisher. Judge Fisher is a true champion of diversity and inclusion in New York City and New York State. She's also a national leader in the Access to Justice movement, and in many ways, she's an unofficial ambassador to this country by virtue of the trips that she's made around the globe to advance access to justice, liberty, and equality for all those people in countries all over the planet where people are marginalized and vulnerable. When I met Judge Fisher over a decade ago, I quickly became enamored of the programs that she had created in New York City that were designed to help New Yorkers of diverse backgrounds, religions, races, ethnicities, to achieve access to justice, access to the courts in a way that had never been done before. In many ways, her goal was to level the playing field so that people who came to the courthouse without a lawyer at their side were able to have their day in court and feel that justice was on their side in the event that they were able to prevail. I was quickly captured by her deep commitment to the vulnerable members of our community and to the idea that she was holding true to the principles that in this country we venerate but oftentimes ignore. I was deeply honored when she asked me to be part of her efforts that directly linked the New York City court system with law schools in New York City. And I came to better understand the depth of her commitment to enhance justice and equality for the masses. Judge Fisher's reputation for being in the forefront of the access to justice movement has spread across the United States and abroad. Her practical approach to addressing the needs of moderate to low-income New Yorkers has been studied and replicated time and time again from New York to California and the states in between. Offshoots of the programs that she's created in New York, like the help centers in city courthouses, the DIY program, the Volunteer Lawyer for the Day program, can now be seen in places like Kansas and Philadelphia. And her presence at an untold number of conferences across the United States and abroad gives her a platform in which she is able to espouse her belief that courts should be opened and that people should have equal access to the courts. My guess is that most people here don't understand what she's doing outside of the U.S. And I just want to talk very briefly about some of her commitments outside the U.S. She's traveled all around the world. She's gone from China to Ecuador, from Israel to Spain to the Dominican Republic, where she continues to inspire people, young people, lawyers, the judiciary professionals, to dedicate their lives and enhance their commitment to social justice. But in terms of New York City, she has done tremendous work to ensure diversity in the court system. If you take a look at the chief clerks in all of the boroughs of New York, and you see that their faces reflect the rich diversity of this city, you know that under Judge Fisher's leadership, diversity has been enhanced, as has been with court attorneys. For those of you who are in court day in and day out, you can see that the numbers of people who are working for the courts has changed dramatically. Lastly, in Ecuador, a judge came in a trip that we took. She met the chief judge in Guayaquil. She talked about her programs, like the self-help centers, the help centers. The judge from Ecuador came to New York, met with Judge Fisher, viewed the programs, went back to Ecuador, and opened up the first help center in South America. These are the seeds that Judge Fisher has planted, and we are very proud to watch grow. It's a great pleasure once again for me to present her as an honoree, and I'd like to ask her to come up to the stage to receive her award.
They asked me if I had prepared remarks, and I don't, so this will be brief. I want to thank my travel husband, Fred Rooney. Don't take it out of this room. For his support over the years, and we have had many, many experiences together trying to address issues in places as far as Pune, India, and Guayaquil, Ecuador, and Dominican Republic. And Fred, you are wonderful, and I appreciate the remarks. I would like to thank the City Bar for its commitment to diversity. And as I look throughout this room, things have changed since I first came out of law school in blank, blank, blank. And to the selection committee, when I walked in, I was quite intimidated by the number of people that were in the room. And you asked me some very interesting questions. And I want to thank you for the effort that you put in selecting the honorees. And thank you so much. And to my fellow honorees, Kathy, Daryl, and Taya, congratulations, and keep on with the work that you do. The committee asked me what motivated me to do what I do. And I was able to tell some stories, which I do so often. That's who I am. And I referred back to the distant past when I was about 14 years old, and my mother moved me from New York City to Riverhead, New York. I actually thought she was either plotting to kill me or she was trying to get rid of me. But it was one of the best things that she ever did for me. But however, Riverhead in the late 1960s was not the Riverhead of today, Riverhead of the vineyards and the Tanger outlet. That's what you guys know. Riverhead at that time had the largest farm worker migrant population in the country, not Texas, not California, but Riverhead. And most of the students that went to the school were either first generation or second generation farm worker, migrant children. And because of that, Riverhead had yet to embrace inclusion. So I arrived on the scene in 1968 and went to enroll to learn that I would be the third African American in the college track, even though the school was 1/3 black at the time. And they told me I couldn't do this, and I couldn't do that, and I couldn't do this. And my mother and I knew, well, this is going to be a new adventure. So over the years, my 3 years in Riverhead, we struggled with inclusion. And at one point, the head of the English department refused to admit me to the honors English class because he said I was not qualified. He was forced to put me in. And then I never received a grade any higher than a C+ or a B-. But when I received the highest grade on the English Regents exam, he actually accused me of cheating. Now, how you do that on the English Regents exam is beyond me, but you know, it tells you a lot about people's inability to let go. The guidance department suggested that I should go to an unaccredited college and that I was not qualified to get into Stony Brook. So those experiences certainly made a difference in who I am today. So I saw firsthand what lack of inclusion can do. But I also saw firsthand what leadership can do. And two men, the Jewish principal and a new African American vice principal changed that school. And after they worked together, many, many, many more African American students were put into the college track, and many, many of them went to college. So we can make a difference. Those experiences in Riverhead cemented my feelings that I wanted to do something to empower the powerless. Now, I went to college to teach, and along the way, I changed my mind and went to law school. And as you can tell by my biography, I went to Harvard. And every time I told people I wanted to do legal aid or legal services, they looked at me like I had horns. Although many, many years later, I won the Gary Bellows Public Interest Award, so I sort of was vindicated at some point. And I have been very, very fortunate to end up in a judicial career where I can still make things happen for the powerless. You know, it is important that our judiciary, our justice system, be inclusive and we embrace diversity. We understand diversity, that we understand cultural competence, and that we ensure that the court system reflect what the community looks like. But also that the judges and the judicial personnel that interacts with the public understands that people are diverse and they see the world through different lenses. That has been my goal. Now, I don't do this by myself. I stand on the shoulders of my village. And my village starts with my staff, who are diverse in color, ethnicity, national origin, gender, and sexual preference. But they are not diverse in their commitment to change the world. And without them, I couldn't do what I do. And let me make special mention tonight of a staff member who is here, who actually nominated me for this award, Yassine Barry Woon. Where is she? Who is the president of the Women's Bar Association and is diverse in her own right. She's from Switzerland. She speaks French, Spanish, and a bunch of other languages. Her father's from Guinea, her mother's Swiss, and she brings so much to the staff. But every member of my staff brings energy and strong commitment. My village also consists of my friends, like Fred Rooney and other friends I have sitting at the table, who understand who I am and understand my energy level and my craziness, and I can be crazy in terms of the things that I do, and who stick by me thick or thin. And I thank you, Fred, and my friend Claude, who's at the table, for being my friend. Fred for 10 years and Claude for 30 years. And also my village actually includes my children. Now my daughter's not here today because she had to work, but my son is at the table, Sean Branveen, and he is an attorney. And his strong moral compass reminds me every day why I do what I do. And I'm very proud of him. So I know that I am talking to the choir. All of you are here, are committed to diversity and inclusion, or else you would not be here, because the filet mignon was not all that great, right? I'm not a steak eater. No offense to the cook. Be the change you wish to see in the world, and the world will indeed change. Thank you very much for the award.
Thank you so much, Judge Fisher. Your work on the state courts access to justice program, it's all the more valuable, and the fact that you are a model for how that is being done across the world is all the more a model and all the more important, especially right now. when so many people feel excluded from the justice system, are treated as other than. I mean, I don't have to go into it in this room, but it really is inspiring what you do to show how we can bridge that divide. Thank you. Turning to our next recipient, I want to welcome up here Mohammed Faruqi and Alette Brown to the podium to introduce Daryl Gibbs, our next award recipient.
Good evening. I'm honored to introduce Daryl Gibbs tonight. My name is Mohammed Faruqi. I just graduated law school and am currently studying for the bar exam, so I haven't been out much lately, but I needed to make an exception tonight. I have known Daryl for 5 years. I met him when I was a student in the Ronald H. Brown Prep Program. This is a pipeline program designed to help students of color get into law school. Daryl has been instrumental in the growth of that program, which to date has helped almost 100 students get into law schools all over the country. Each of those students carrying with them a commitment towards making the legal profession more diverse and more equitable. Since interning for Daryl at AXA Equitable the summer before I began law school, he's become more than just a mentor. He's become a friend as well as a role model. You can read about his formal accomplishments in his bio, but know that those are just the tip of the iceberg. His real contribution is in the students he has helped succeed, including myself. As Daryl likes to say, there are Ron Brown students in every law school from A to Y, and if there were a law school that began with the letter Z, that they would be there as well. Every single one of these students is evidence of Daryl's contribution to the diversity in this profession. He provides all of us with a role model, with a model of what it means to be an attorney who pays it forward. And I know the best way for me to pay him back is to open up as many doors for another group of students as he's opened up for me. So thank you, Daryl. Thank you to everyone. And I want to introduce my co-introducer, Alette Brown. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I am Alette Brown, as mentioned. I have known Daryl since 2009, when I interned with AXA Equitable's legal department. Since that time, Daryl has been an unwavering mentor who has been with me through some of my greatest moments, through fellowships, and some of my toughest times. And Daryl believed in me at moments where I found it incredibly difficult to believe in myself. Through it all, he has been consistent, and though very proud, I am hardly surprised that Daryl is receiving this award today. I have not only seen, but am a direct product of the efforts that Daryl has made towards diversity and inclusion in the legal field. I am so honored to present this award to him tonight with my co-presenter. I applaud him and his efforts and expect much, much more in the future. And I am so grateful to have such an incredible source of inspiration. Congratulations, Daryl.
Well, thank you, Alette and Mohammed. That was fantastic. I really appreciate that. So let's get this party started, right? Like, how many of you guys are hip-hop fans in here, right? Let's get this started, right? So I'm going to borrow the hook I'm going to borrow Drake's hook from Big Sean's latest song, right? I'm way up, I feel blessed, right? Come on, y'all. I'm way up, I feel blessed, right? Man, do I feel blessed? I feel blessed. Let me tell you. This is fantastic. This is incredible. You know, Alette is an attorney at the Administration for Children's Services, and when I met her, that was something that she always wanted to do, work with families and children, and she's doing what she wants as an attorney, and I'm extremely proud of her. Muhammad, as he mentioned, he's a recent graduate of Boston College Law School, and he's studying for the bar, and he didn't mention that he's a newlywed also. 6 months, right? Hang in there, hang in there, hang in there. It'll be okay. 6 months. Okay. It'll be fine. So a couple of weeks ago, I got an email from another mentee. And that mentee was, he was announcing his graduation from a law school, this small nondescript law school in New England called Harvard, I believe. And in his announcement, he mentioned, and he made reference to African term or proverb, Ubuntu. Some of you in the technology world, right, may know the term because it's the name for an operating system, a community-based operating system. And the key word there is community-based. So Ubuntu is about community. And some have translated Ubuntu to mean I am because we are, and we are because you are. And it speaks to the connection and the interdependency of the individuals, I am, you are, to the community, we are. He shortened the phrase a little bit. He shortened it to, I am because you are. And tonight, I'd like to tell the communities in which I belong, I am because you are. So to all of you here that work in the diversity and inclusion space, that are here working tirelessly to diversify the legal profession, I applaud you and I thank you. I thank the New York City Bar for this award tonight and the selection committee. Thank you for selecting me. You guys are not only talented, but you're smart. I thank Gabrielle Brown. She's done a great job, an incredible job. With all that she does around diversity and inclusion, and I implore all of you to check out the website and to talk with Gabrielle about what the bar is doing around programming with diversity and inclusion. And I think Brett alluded to some of the programs that's going on, and it was a great CLE that happened Monday, and tonight is a fantastic night. So thank you so much. And I say to all of you in the diversity space, in the diversity and inclusion space, I am because you are. I want to say to my co-awardees, thank you and congratulations for all the work that you do also. You are deserving recipients of this award. I know Taya and others have been working hard in this space for a number of years, and thank you for all that you do. I want to thank also my Ron Brown Law Prep Program community, and I want to thank Elaine Chu, who's the new executive director of the program. You know, Elaine and the program has given me an opportunity to make a difference in diversity in law schools, not just at St. John's, the school at which I graduated, but at schools all across the country. As Muhammad mentioned, we have students in most every school. Thank you for taking my joke, by the way. I mean, come on, you know. But we have students in most schools across the country, and I really want to thank you for what you do. And I say to that community, I am because you are. And I thank the students, the current students and the former students in the program. I was at a reception a couple of nights ago with the students, and I brought a couple of students up as I was making my remarks. I brought them up, the alumni of the program. I brought them up with me as I was making my remarks. And I got a little emotional because as I was bringing them up and I was looking at the students, I looked at them and I realized how talented they were. I realized how beautiful they were. I realized how smart they were. And I wanted to tell them, and I told them, I said, you guys are in the positions you're in the law schools you're in, and in the jobs that you're in because you are talented and smart. And I told them, I said, they need to stay confident and they need to stay connected. And we have a number of students here tonight. Could you guys stand? We have Alette and Muhammad, who you met. I think Brittany's here. There you go, one more. And one from, where's Jordan? To my AXA family. You know, I want to thank folks from AXA. First, I want to thank my former general counsel, Dick Silva, who's here tonight also. Dick was instrumental in helping start the internship and mentoring program at AXA. So, Dick, thank you for that. I want to thank the AXA Internship Steering Committee. They work extremely hard with our mentors, with our mentees, and getting mentors, and they work extremely hard with our interns also, and I want to thank them for that. I want to thank my boss, Chris Banthen. She's been a supporter of mine for a number of years now, and she's allowed me to kind of run around and be this guy that does all these diversity things, and she's very, very supportive. So, Chris, thank you for all the support that you've given me. I also want to thank our current general counsel, Dave Haddam. Dave has an unwavering just position around diversity and inclusion. He's increased the awareness in the legal department. He's increased the engagement of the attorneys around our programs. Dave's also done something. He's created additional programming with interns in our organization. We have now an internship in the compliance department in our organization. Dave's thought process and his position on diversity and inclusion has also created a very distinctly diverse legal department. Our department has evolved into a legal department that has a very, very healthy mixture of race, ethnic, age, gender, and LGBT diversity. Dave, your efforts are not unrecognized. Thank you. This, you know, when I think about the next group of folks I want to thank, I'm a little reluctant to mention them sometime, only because they're extremely special to me. There's a group of brothers. There's some bad brothers. And staying on the hip-hop theme, it's like Run DMC, right? It's not bad meaning bad, but it's bad meaning good, right? I mean, there's some bad brothers that I run with here in New York City. Not just here in New York City, but across the country. And the reason I'm always reluctant to mention them is because they are so special to me. They're brothers. This is a community that I'm involved in. These brothers support me, and they provide me the type of support that no one else in any of my other communities can provide to me. And I want to tell those brothers that I love them, and I appreciate them, and I am because you are. Thank you, brothers. I really appreciate you. There's some of these brothers here tonight, too. I'm not going to have them stand up because they know who they are. But last but not least, probably most importantly, I want to thank my family, my wife, Antoinette, and my son, Jalen, who are here tonight. My wife is kind of a never-ending source of support and love. She is a partner in everything that I do, from professional achievement to education to networking to mentoring to giving back to the community. She's not only a partner, she's actually the managing partner. And some of you law firm guys know what I mean. You got to get the buy-in from the managing partner before you can do anything. So I had to get a buy-in before I can do any of this, and without her, none of this would be possible. So I think there are no truer words that I've spoken other than, Antoinette, I love you, thank you so much, and I am because you are. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Daryl. That was very inspiring. And to keep the evening going along, I would like to welcome Joe Drayton, who is a former recipient of the Diversity and Inclusion Champion Award. I'd like to ask Joe to come up here to introduce our final award recipient tonight, Taya Grays.
I didn't know it was going to be so difficult to follow Daryl Gibbs, but you know, and I just want to say congratulations to Kathy Chen, Fern Fisher, the Honorable Fern Fisher. These are people we look up to. You know, when I look at Daryl and I look at Taya, this is our generation. So I can't see what he does. I see what Taya does, and I must say that Taya is a bad, bad girl. You know. In a good way, in a good way. And, you know, this is interesting because I'm not going to say how many years ago, but Taya, Aramika, and myself, we used to talk about what we were going to do as lawyers and why we were going to do it and the things that we knew needed to be done in the legal profession to move the ball forward on a diversity front. And it's not a surprise that Taya is here tonight receiving this award because everything we talked about, she did. And it's very interesting because, you know, I called Taya, we talked maybe 2 minutes, I get exactly what I need out of the conversation, I keep it moving. If I call her at night, she calls me back. If it's 10 o'clock, she'll call me at 11. She's the hardest working person. But she's not just doing that for me, she's doing that for everyone. And I guess when I think about Taya, you know, if it was hip hop, she would be Beyonce. You know? If it was TV, she would be Oprah. And if it was politics, I must say I think you would be Hillary Clinton and not Michelle Obama. At least not yet anyway. So who is Taya Grays? Taya Grays is at the height of in-house corporate law at MetLife. She's an assistant general counsel at MetLife, and she's chief of staff to its general counsel. But more importantly, she's a friend, she's a counselor, she's a respected leader. She leads by example. When she was a prosecutor in the Bronx, she worked hard by day, but she worked extremely tirelessly for the Bronx Black Bar at night. When she moved over to MetLife, she worked hard at the New York State Bar Association, both days, nights, and on the weekends, leading their women's initiatives. She does it all well, and that's the most important thing. I think Daryl alluded to this, I think Judge Fisher alluded to this, but she's the shining example of what we all want to be, no matter who you are, white, black, Asian, otherwise. How would I describe Taya? I would say she's accomplished, she's passionate, she's focused, she's collaborative, which is the one thing I will say. I have great respect for her collaborative leadership. I've been witnessing it during her presidency of the Metropolitan Black Bar Association, and I must say I'm amazed by it because it takes true skill to lead collaboratively, and she's done a fantastic job. She's loved, she's committed, she's unselfish, pure, intelligent, detailed, purposeful, strategic, and no one in this room will deny this, and many of you know it. She's a champion by choice. She's a champion because she cares. And I think she's truly a diversity champion in the eyes of all. Now, one of the things that I want to point out is the extent of her diversity work and her leadership. I'm currently the regional director for the National Bar Association. But Taya served in that role probably 2 or 3 people before me. And she did a fantastic job. And I don't think people realize the glue that Taya provided for the NBA in New York City. She served in that capacity, I want to say, for 5 years and did a fantastic job. And she wasn't going to pass the baton until somebody was there ready to take it. That's the kind of diversity champion she is. She leads on the National Bar Association's board our affiliate chapters. That means that all the affiliate chapters across the country put their faith in Taya to represent their interests on our board. As you know, she's the MBBA president. It's a big task. She could have said, I'm past that. I'm beyond that. But instead, she accepted that responsibility and she understood why she should serve. And that was very important, and that impressed me again. She was the president of the Queens Women's Bar Association. She was the president of the Network of Bar Leaders. She was on the executive committee of the Bronx Black Bar, and she was the president of the Association of Black Women Attorneys. Now, I am missing probably 3/4 of the things that you've done. I've only talked about a quarter, and that just shows you how fantastic you are and how much you mean to our legal community. But the one thing I do want to stress is that Taya did something that we all need to do. She sat back and said, how can I help the National Bar Association? How can I help our youth in Pipeline in high school? How can I bring it all together? How can I help the NBA, MetLife, the law students, the lawyers? And she, I don't know how she did it, but she got MetLife to provide one of the more substantial, historically substantial contributions to the National Bar Association to start the Martin Luther King Drum Major for Justice Advocacy Program. This is a program that's national. It's across the country. It has lawyers working with high school students for 3 or 4 months, well, probably 6 months throughout the year. We meet their parents. We meet business professionals. We're in the schools, all because she said, how can I marriage everything I do, bring it together, and create a fantastic pipeline initiative? Each year, out of our 12 regions, 12 high school students come to our national convention. It's paid for. Their families come. It's paid for as a result of Taya's vision. Those are the students that make it to the national championship. We have a regional competition. Many of our affiliate chapters have competition, and we touch the lives of many students. I say we, but the vision, the execution, that was Taya Gray's. And I think the NBA, President Pamela Means, and all of the members are indebted to Taya in MetLife for that. And that's just one of thousands of things that she has done for the diverse bar and for the legal community since she's been a lawyer. So she's there at the local stage. She's there at the statewide stage. She's there at the national stage. She's there because she cares. And I just want to challenge everybody to hone in on whatever Taya has that allows her to be a diversity champion. She's accessible. Let's talk to her. Let's figure it out. Let's get some of it, and let's sell it, or let's give it away, because we need it. And with that, I want to say I'm proud to introduce Taya Graves to you, your 2015 Diversity Champion.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. I think there were some more people over there. Let's try that again. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Thank you. Well, I am the last speaker. I will be judicious with my time because I know that you guys have other things that you need to get to after this. December 1993. My father and I were in his office. I was home from school, and we were going over my personal statement for law school. My father is a very engaged father. I have two, those are my two sisters over there. And we went through every paragraph and every single word of my personal statement. And he's like, well, why is this here? And I'm like, but it should be there. But why is that word there? I don't like that word. But Dad, I like that word. I don't think that's persuasive. So we went back and forth, back and forth. But at the end of that process, yes, I was a little frustrated, But at the end, I had a personal statement that really reflected why I wanted to go to law school. I knew since I was 12 years old, and I have a friend of mine who's been here, who's known me for that long, I said I wanted to be a lawyer. But it wasn't until that moment in 1993 that I really focused in and articulated why I wanted to be a lawyer. I wanted to give people a voice, those who didn't have a voice. And I wanted to be an advocate for those folks. So as you know, I became a prosecutor, and I became a litigator where I could do that. In the times that I was not protecting my clients with MetLife or working at the DA's office, in my spare time, I devoted my efforts to the bar and working on something that needed attention. Where could I give my voice? Where could I focus in on a place where we needed to have attention paid? And that was on the diversity, well, it used to be called diversity, and now it's diversity and inclusion. In the several years that I have been out of law school and practicing, I have worn many hats in that space. So tonight, I want to speak to you from 3 of those hats and have messages from each of those areas. So the first hat is my MetLife hat. Can I keep Snoopy up here? Not quite. Okay, there we go. There we go. Message number 1, join us in accountability. On Monday, the General Counsel of MetLife spoke in a General Counsel forum at the inaugural CLE symposium for the City Bar. And one of the things that he talked about was holding people accountable for diversity and inclusion. We have all been working in this space, as Judge Fisher said, for a number of years, and we have had progress. This room probably would look very different 10 years ago. But there's still more work to be done. And personally, I feel like we have hit a roadblock in some ways. There's a lot of money that's poured into this effort. There are lots of great ideas, but we still are not where we need to be, with the profession reflecting the diversity from an ethnic perspective, from an LGBT perspective, from a gender perspective. My boss said we need to be bold. Where do we need to go next? We need to hold our leaders accountable for progress, not just talking about and putting money toward programs, which is a great thing, and you need to do that. But you have to hold the people who are the decision makers accountable for diversity and inclusion. So what does that mean? That means law firm partners need to be held accountable for making sure that diverse associates succeed and that there are consequences when they are not vested in ensuring that those folks are succeeding. Internally, we also need to hold ourselves accountable and making sure that we're focused in on building that pipeline within our in-house practices as well as within our firms. Now, he was talking to the private bar, but this issue is not specific to the private bar. We see it throughout the legal profession. Michelle Coleman, on that same day, had said that the legal profession is the least diverse profession. 88% of the legal profession is white. So we have a lot of work to do. I would say join MetLife, that's my first ask. Join MetLife and other similarly situated companies and law firms in holding our leaders accountable. Ask number 2 and hat number 2. This ask is around partnering. This is a sample of a plaque, actually of the program that Joe had described earlier, the Dr. Martin Luther King Drum Major for Justice Advocacy Competition. And I am proud that MetLife has been a sponsor of this program, first on the regional level and then on the national level for almost the entire time I've been at MetLife, which has been about 12 years. The bar associations, of which I've been involved in maybe about 12 or 14 over the time that I've been practicing law. But what I see in the bar associations, and I'm sure many of you do as well, is the power of collective action. You're bringing together people who are entering the profession, people who are established in the profession, people who are retiring and have this wisdom in the profession, together to figure out tough things, to share their wisdom, to energize the legal community. So what I ask is that we join together. You partner with organizations like the City Bar. You partner with organizations like the Metropolitan Black Bar Association. Bring your talent, bring your time, bring your treasure so that we can work on these issues together. So ask number 2 is partnership. Partner with us in the bar associations. I don't have a third prop. But the last ask is a personal ask that comes from me. In the time that I've been working in this space, as I talked about earlier, I've worked with a lot of different people. I know many of you in this room. And my personal ask is, as the choir, we have to step up our game. I know we do a lot as it is, but we gotta bring more people to the table. Those people who aren't the easy ones, those people that you have to sit down and have these hard conversations with to persuade them that this is the right thing to do. It makes business sense for certain, like with law firms and corporations, but it's simply the right thing to do. So the next time you're coming to a bar association event like this, talk to one of your colleagues who may not normally come. Ask them to come with you. If you're in a mentoring program, like Darryl made reference to, bring a mentor. Identify people in the community who may not know about the mentoring program and bring them along. We have to step up our game because we have hit a roadblock, although we've done some good work, but we gotta do more. And so the third ask is to lead from the front with me. So let's recap. Number 1, first message was accountability. Yes, thank you. Let's say that again. Accountability. The second ask was partnership. Absolutely. Thank you, Darryl. And the third ask was? Thank you, Darryl. I thank the City Bar for being selected as the nominee, as a champion. Congratulations to my fellow champions. And I thank you for your commitment in coming out tonight. We have a lot more work to do.
Well, I don't know about you, but I feel inspired, I feel good. And as it's been established that this is the choir, the Diversity and Inclusion Choir. Can I get an amen? Amen. All right, hallelujah, thank you all. Seriously, thank you so much for being here this evening. I am so just full of joy, full of pride. And Darryl, I'm sorry, you kept calling out your student group, and I know you're proud, and I'm proud of them too. But I have to call out yet another group because it's one of the crown jewels of the City Bar, the New York City Bar's diversity program. I'm referring to the Diversity Fellowship Program. If there are any fellows or alumni in the house, would you please stand? Including you, Darryl. Get up. Yeah. I'm a former chair of the committee that administers it, and we got Steve Seltzer from MetLife here, Andre Warner from New York Life, and I got to tell you really quickly, this week has been amazing for me. Monday, we were here for our CLE program, and I had at least 3 fellows come up to me and just talk about how well they're doing. And then even today, I was on the phone talking to a young man who works at Google, so all the way on the West Coast. And I'm like, his name is familiar to me, but I couldn't figure out why. So finally, he said, Sheila, don't you know who I am? And I'm like, you're a Google senior counsel. Kevin, who are you? He's like, I am a 2006 City Bar Fellow, Diversity Fellow. I am so proud of him. It's amazing. So Andre and Steve, I made him sign up on LinkedIn, on our page. He wasn't on there. But I'm just trying to explain to you, this bar, our professional home, is devoted and is in the forefront for diversity and inclusion. And we're reaching as far as the West Coast Google over in California. All right, can I get another amen? All righty. We would like to thank all of you. We'd also like to thank none other than our El Presidente, Deborah Raskin. Give it up for her, please. We have to thank our fearless executive director, Brett Parker. We love him. And Nate and I, in case you don't know, we are the co-chairs of the Enhanced Diversity in the Profession Committee. It's a wonderful group. The 2014-15 group, we revamped everything. We've got some all-star players, folks from Chicago, folks from DC are even on the committee, and we're trying to do some new things. If you are in the house on the committee, would you please stand right now? All of our committee members, EDTIP. Thank you so much for all your commitment.
I'm a little disappointed. Dr. Reeves is here and she did not stand. That's all right.
From Chicago!
She came from Chicago to attend this event, or to do other things, but she's here. So she's an unconscious bias expert. She's an everything expert. And hopefully one day maybe she'll accept my invitation to let me be one of her mentees. So you can tell from Sheila, as she said, we co-chair the Enhanced Diversity in the Profession Committee. You can tell from Sheila that she's got a lot of energy, right? So you could imagine the energy that our committee has. It's a really powerful thing, and it embodies what the city bar is trying to do on diversity and inclusion. Last year, as she mentioned, we revamped the committee. We made it interdisciplinary. We brought people from across the country. It's not just attorneys. We have psychologists. We have social psychologists. We have sociologists. We have researchers focused in on diversity and inclusion. And, you know, there are a lot of people to thank for that, and Sheila already had them stand up. It's important for me to thank Claire Plunkett. Yes. Where's Claire? Over there in the corner. We're losing Claire in about a month or so. I'm in denial about it, but she has been instrumental and supportive of all of the efforts of the Office of Diversity and Inclusion. And a young lady who has already received recognition this evening, but I could go on and on for hours about, and I would like for you all to help me thank, is Gabrielle Brown, who is the head of the DAR. Please stand up. And certainly, I do want to thank the selection committee under Benson's leadership, able to, I think Daryl said they're smart, right? They made the right choices. Having sat on the selection committee myself, it's grueling, it's hard. There are many of you in the crowd that maybe do a lot for diversity and inclusion, but may never be recognized. And you don't need to be recognized. Your gift is the contributions you make and the return on your investment each and every day. And so we thank all of you for everything that you do. One thing I wanted to do, who came to the CLE on Monday? Raise your hand. Okay, so those of you that came on Monday, bear with me. On Monday, I talked a little bit about, I had an analogy to the committee and the Office of Diversity and Inclusion in terms of how we're innovating towards diversity and inclusion and how it's different than your grandmama's diversity and inclusion initiative, if you will. And one of my colleagues, Cassandra Knight, who's doing some work over in London, went to PLI, a CLE a couple years ago, and she came back to the committee. She's very active in diversity and inclusion over at Morgan Stanley. And she came back and said she took this CLE course, and there was a quote from a U.S. District Court judge, Thomas Penfield Jackson, who was the presiding judge over the Microsoft antitrust trials in the 90s. And so the original context of this quote, and I got it on my BlackBerry, I want to read it to you. It had nothing to do with the efforts to enhance diversity and inclusion in the legal profession, but it speaks so directly to the type of traction and the issues that many of us face as we go forward in changing diversity and inclusion. So I'm going to read this to you. The Code of Tribal Wisdom says that when you discover you are riding a dead horse, the best strategy is to dismount. In the legal profession, we often try other strategies with dead horses, including the following: buying a stronger whip, changing riders, saying things like, "This is the way we have always ridden this horse," appointing a committee to study the horse, arranging to visit other firms to see how they ride dead horses, increasing the standards to ride dead horses, declaring that the horse is better, faster, and cheaper dead, and finally, harnessing several dead horses together for increased speed. What makes me so proud about the contributions of the Office for Diversity and Inclusion and all of the committees and all of you is that we've dismounted that dead horse. And the innovation that's coming out, it's a new horse. It's an American Pharaoh for diversity and inclusion, and I thank you all for your contributions.
Keep up the good fight.
Everybody, the NBA Finals have started, so I'm going to be under the 5 minutes. I'm also terrified of the timer. If you've been up here, he holds up the time sign. I'm so proud to be part of this organization, proud to be part of this group of champions and do this work. I feel like the luckiest person in the world to call this my job. And it takes a village, it really does. So for everyone who made tonight possible, I first and foremost want to thank all of the sponsors of tonight's event and Monday's CLE. So our premier sponsor this year was New York Life Insurance Company. Our leadership sponsors, AXA Equitable, Bank of New York Mellon, Barbary, Cravath, Swaney & Moore, Debevoise Plimpton, MetLife, Morgan Stanley, Sherman Sterling, Skadden Arps, Sullivan & Cromwell, and Wachtell Lipton. Thank you so much for your support. We're proud to partner with all of you in your impressive diversity and inclusion efforts and look forward to continuing our collaborations in the future. I want to thank our team at Deloitte, who helps with our benchmarking, delivers our benchmarking survey, and Lisa Levy, who can't be here tonight, who writes our benchmarking report. We look forward to sharing the results of this year's survey with all of you in the next few weeks. I want to thank our executive director, Brett Parker, who's my friend and mentor. Last year, our benchmarking survey, one of the biggest and most important takeaways for me was that white men could be champions of diversity, and Brett embodies that in every day of his job. And I couldn't do anything I do without his backing and support. And speaking of support, and pardon me, I'm sorry, Alan Rothstein, our general counsel, who hired me, who's been my friend, mentor, companion, joke buddy. You're the only person who laughs at my jokes in this building. I was trying them out on Alan, and then he laughs, and I try them out on the rest of the staff, and they fall completely flat. So that's going to be the hardest adjustment when you leave. But for the last 10 years, you've allowed us to put diversity at the forefront of this organization and put it in front of our vast membership, and for that, I'm so thankful. I want to thank Nate St. Victor and Sheila Boston for chairing our committee. We use the word chair because we're not allowed by city bar bylaws, but this may change when Alan leaves. She's tireless visionaries in the title of committee heads. If you all think I email you a lot, you should see Nate and Sheila's Blackberries, iPads, iPhones, and email. We're so proud of all that we've been able to accomplish under your leadership this year, and to be able to work with you is the most profound experience that I've ever had. And I might cry at this one too, Claire Plunkett. If you use the term right hand, Claire is my right hand, my right arm, my right brain, the right person. She does everything to make this possible. She makes my job easy. I take all the credit for it, but she deserves it. We will miss you terribly when you leave. Nick Morgan, our intern, who was crazy enough to come back again this year after interning with us this winter, and all of the volunteers who made tonight possible. Please stand up for a moment for your thanks. And I consider myself the Cavaliers' lucky charm, so I want to thank all of you for attending tonight. I look forward to seeing you all soon. Thank you.